Welcome to Check It Out with Jessica Lee. My guest today is Anthony Kennada, who is the CMO at Gainsight. Welcome,
Thank
Anthony.
you. Appreciate you having me. Appreciate it.
How are you? How are things going?
Things are going great. Yeah, exciting times at Gainsight. Exciting times, I think, as an industry overall. So we're just looking forward to all the things coming up here for us and for our customers, and yeah, it's been a great.
You have a major event, Pulse, coming up in May. Is that right?
We do. So we have we put on this conference called Pulse. That's actually not about Gainsight, but all about the community of customer success leaders. And this year, for the first time, we're moving to Moscone Center in San Francisco. So it feels like we've arrived in the tech conference scene, at least, moving away from some hotel lobby basically into the Moscone Center. So 5,500 people, maybe 6,000 people are going to be there in San Francisco this May, and so we're less than 60 days away. So a lot of focus going into that right now.
Okay, you've done a great job in building this category as this chief marketing officer. Let's talk about this whole community building as a strategy to the category building. Yeah,
well, I think the world's sort of starting to change, and we've got this. Historically, we've seen the world as this B2B and B2C context, where we use Apple Watches in our personal lives, and we watch Netflix, and we have this sort of understanding on how marketers can reach us as consumers. And then when we go to work, we sort of check that at the door, and we start just spamming people on email or using these other channels to drive signups or form fills, and we forget the humanity that we appreciate so much in our personal lives. And so what we're starting to see, I think, in B2B marketing is that the actual trend is B to H, business to human marketing. And the folks at Adobe Summit actually this week talked about it as business to everyone, B to E. And the idea is at the heart of all of our employees, at the heart of all of the folks we're trying to sell to, customers and logos, are people that are trying to be great at their jobs, get promoted, sort of self-actualize in their careers. And so community is sort of at the heart of how we operate as humans and individuals. And so from a work context, we should still be able to kind of figure out a way as marketers to get folks together and build community. Okay.
So let's talk about how you actually built the community from the very beginning, ground floor. What was the thinking, the strategy, and the execution of that?
Yeah. So when we first signed on to Gainsight, my CEO Nick, who was just on the show, which is really exciting, and I were trying to figure out what is this thing, and we signed deals with all of the tier 1 analysts that you could think of, and pitched them on our value proposition, got them on the phone with our customers. And the feedback that they shared with us was aligned to certain research areas that they had. So they said, you are a customer analytics provider. We're like, okay, kind of. You're a CRM player. We're like, well, no, we're not ready to compete with Salesforce or anyone along those lines this early. And so we had conviction that there was a job title that existed called the Customer Success Manager. And it was a job title that no one was really paying attention to, no company at least, in a very meaningful way. And so we were sort of in this decision point where we could either follow what the analysts were telling us to do and position as the proactive customer support or whatever, or we can focus in on this persona and help make them heroes and celebrate them, give them the tools they need to be successful in their role. So that was the decision point. And the way we sort of planned an experiment around that, we said, what if we can host an event that had nothing to do with us, but everything to do with the small cohort of a few hundred folks that were in those roles? Would they come? Would people show up? And this was about 4 months of planning, so not very long. We had 300 people there. Aaron Levy and Jeffrey Moore were our keynote speakers. And beyond the quantitative success of that event, there was passion, and there was excitement, and there was this feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm finally around other people that are going through what I'm going through at work, right? And so that was something we're like, oh my God, there's something here, and we need to build an entire marketing strategy, entire business around doing more of that. So what was a one-time event turned into content all focused on enabling this role. Webinars, podcasts, all the kind of traditional channels, live events in different cities. And so we now have conferences in London and Sydney as well. and Pulse, the big conference, will be in its 7th year this year. And some kind of irrational, weird ideas. And so we actually recorded a rap song in Capitol Records in Hollywood, which has become the anthem of the customer success community. And you might ask, why does that matter? What's the return? How many leads did you get out of that? It's tough to say, but we know that folks in the community have sort of embraced that, and they'll send us like music videos that they've done when rolling out Gainsight that are like singing along to the song. And so we've created culture around customer success by doing a lot of these different activities. And so it started as a rebellion against analysts, turned into a single event, and since then we're trying to build a lifestyle brand now for those that are in the job of customer success.
Yes, and so I hear that customer success manager is a job that's very hot, in high demand. It makes sense, because before software was traditional software way, but now software as a service is different, and so the customer service and success around that is different.
Totally,
right?
The power shifted, and so no longer can we imagine if we're a hardware vendor and we send the hardware, with a 3-year contract up front, and whether they took it out of the box or not, the vendor realized financial value, right? They got the deal done. Now the power is completely shifted to the customer, where unless the customer is getting value, you're never going to get any financial return off of that. And so we had to stand up a team that said, or evolve an existing team like an account management team to focus on delivering value for the customer, which now paradoxically drives growth for the company as well.
That's right. So when you actually go in and talk to a potential company to buy this, are you targeting the board member, the CFO, the revenue officer?
Typically, I think there's several kind of different personas, just because it's such a new kind of practice in general. But the sort of center of the bullseye for us is the chief customer officer. So traditionally, this is someone that owns the entire post-sales journey, which we think it's kind of a weird word now, because we're always kind of selling even after the deal's closed. But they'll typically own things like the success team, support, professional services, kind of all the sort of ongoing kind of maintenance, ongoing kind of relationship building with customers. Some companies are more oriented around driving renewals and more of the sales kind of motion, upsell, expansion, revenue generation. That'll typically report up to the CRO. So I think we see both of those as interesting personas. And I know Nick talked about this. We now have a product called Gainsight PX, which sells to the product leader as well, for folks that want to use their product as sort of a customer success channel for delivering value to users. And so there are these different kind of departments that are all enrolled in the mission of driving customer success across the entire company. And ultimately, I think it's the CEO that really cares about ensuring that mission is met.
Yes, okay. Let's talk about the challenges that you faced when you were going through this journey, and how did you solve that?
Yeah. So I like to call this one challenge the two-funnel effect of category creation. The challenge is if you start doing these things, these content programs, these events, and you start really positioning around the problem that you're looking to solve, you get a lot of buy-in, and people are excited and they want to be a part of it, and they say, of course, like this makes a lot of sense. And the way marketers appreciate that is, we're getting a lot of conversions, a lot of form fills, a lot of engagement in our marketing automation system on people that are consuming our content. And so funnel one becomes folks enrolling into your thought leadership, enrolling into your brand and community. You then have the second funnel of looking for buyers, people that are in market for technology. And the drop between funnel one and funnel two for folks creating categories is kind of tough sometimes. And so what you have to do is figure out how to not just win people's hearts, but win their minds too. Folks that aren't just saying, I love customer success, but then you put a $100,000 software contract in front of them, they're like, oh my gosh, no, like I'm not ready for that yet. That's kind of the conflict, I think, in the early days we really had to figure out how to navigate. And so the way we try to solve that is by teaching them how to buy. Because in our case, and in many new categories, folks haven't traditionally bought technology to solve the problem. I mean, we hear in many cases of startups that are like, we compete against paper or spreadsheets or all these sorts of things. That isn't a existing line item in the budget that people save for customer success technology. So we did just very tactically a few things. We would create like an RFP guide for folks that want to evaluate the marketplace, a buyer's guide for customer success technology, a lot of ROI studies, not just of our product, but of why invest in customer success. And we would take all these things that are traditionally late stage content. These are stuff you put away in like a content management system and hope your sales team's using them, and evangelize them actually on top of the funnel. And so we put a lot of effort into teaching the world how to buy software to solve this problem. And that is something that you don't often, it goes against the typical best practice for how to promote content.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And has worked out really well, though.
It's worked. I mean, the company's doing well, you know, and I think there's still a big journey ahead for us. But I mean, we've been able to, you know, convince a cohort of the market that says, you know, if customer success is important to me, I need an enabling technology to really power and operationalize that. And that's what Gainsight does.
Okay. So looking ahead, what is exciting for you? What are you hoping to achieve?
Yeah. Well, I think the most exciting thing is that traditionally, or at least, you know, you talked about the different buyers or the different kind of buying centers within the business. Historically, in the first kind of chapter of the company, customer success has been focused around the department of customer success managers, folks that owned the charter to drive adoption, drive renewals, upsell, what have you. But we sort of have this marketing branding challenge of customer success also being the name of the initiative and the company-wide effort, not just a department. And so with our recent acquisition of Apptrinsic, which became Gainsight PX, and a few other kind of things we're working on, we're starting to actually have product market fit in context of the broader customer success story. And so we think there's an evolution of the words customer success coming, a 2.0, a next generation of what customer success is. And taking that to the community, we're going to debut it at Pulse this year, is super exciting.
I'm going to be there.
Awesome. Great. I'm looking forward to having you.
Yeah. Okay. So what are you most proud of, the journey you've gone through here?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of personal fulfillment on seeing something that sort of didn't exist before now become rationalized and real and appreciated. That's not to say folks that are disrupting existing markets don't have that same degree of passion, but I think at the heart of what we're doing, as I mentioned earlier, are people, and seeing that this job function is now growing, that people have passion and being able to you know, do great professionally within their careers, but also do that by being empathetic and caring about the customer and helping them achieve their outcomes. If there's ever like a noble path in enterprise software, this feels kind of like it. And to do that at a company that, you know, we're very fortunate to have Nick kind of at the helm, a values-driven culture, a purpose-driven culture.
Yes.
It feels like telling that kind of broader narrative is exciting, but appreciating how far we've come and what we've been able to do and how we've been able to do it, that's by far the biggest career achievement of my life. So
excellent. I saw you and Nick on stage at SaaSter, and you guys are very passionate around this whole category of customer success.
Yeah.
So what's next for you in this passion?
Yeah, I'm, you know, whenever we talk about category creation, it's kind of a fun topic because it's very, very personal to both Nick and our story here in building Gainsight. But also, I found that I get a number of, you know, requests to talk to other founders or marketing teams or folks that are trying to build their own categories.
Yes.
And so I'm extremely fortunate, was able to actually get a book contract to write the book on category creation, which is super exciting. Thank you. And so the book's called Category Creation, How to Build a Brand That Customers, Employees, and Investors Will Love. Okay. And it's due out in September, October. Very fortunate to have Brian Halligan, who's the CEO of HubSpot, to actually write the foreword for it. And HubSpot, famous for building the inbound marketing category, right, and all the kind of community that they've kind of amassed kind of behind their brand. So incredibly excited about that. I'm being stretched and finding out a way to write 60,000 words in a very short period of time, but you know, we're extremely passionate about hopefully helping to pave the way to other kind of marketers or entrepreneurs that are thinking about building categories too.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more success from you and from your company at this event.
Awesome.
So good luck, and thank you for being on the show so much, Anthony.
Yeah, thank you for having me. We'll see you in May.
Yes. Thanks everyone for watching. Take it up with Jessica Lee, Anthony Kennada from Gainsight.
Thank you.